In this podcast episode, Ben Shapiro emphasizes that 2025 is set to be a significant year, particularly with Donald Trump expected to be certified as President of the United States. Shapiro discusses the re-election of Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, who received Trump's endorsement despite some resistance from within the Republican Party. He highlights the complexities of the Speaker's role, which involves uniting various factions to achieve legislative goals rather than merely pushing ideological agendas. Shapiro elaborates on the difficulties faced by Speaker Johnson, particularly in managing a slim majority in the House. He critiques the tendency of some members of Congress, like Thomas Massie, to adopt an obstructionist stance without offering viable alternatives. Shapiro argues that the job of a speaker is to maximize legislative gains, especially when a Republican president is in office. He notes that Johnson's re-election was secured through a last-minute coalition, aided by Trump's influence, which underscores the importance of strategic alliances in politics. As the new Congress convenes, Shapiro outlines two major legislative priorities: border security and the extension of the 2017 Trump tax cuts. He discusses the potential strategies for advancing these priorities, including the use of reconciliation, a legislative process that allows certain budgetary bills to pass with a simple majority. Shapiro presents two approaches: separating the border and tax bills or combining them into a single, larger bill. He expresses concern that a combined bill may lead to unwanted compromises, while also acknowledging the urgency of passing these measures before the midterm elections. Shapiro shifts the conversation to national security, particularly the threat of radical Islamic terrorism, highlighted by a recent attack in New Orleans that resulted in multiple casualties. He discusses the background of the attacker, who had reportedly been radicalized and expressed allegiance to ISIS. Shapiro criticizes the FBI's initial reluctance to label the incident as terrorism and calls for a more robust investigation into organizations that may harbor extremist ideologies, such as the Council on American Islamic Relations, CIR. He emphasizes the need for a serious approach to countering radicalism in the U.S., advocating for a departure from political correctness in intelligence and law enforcement. The podcast also delves into the contentious issue of immigration, particularly the H-1B visa program, which allows U.S. companies to employ foreign workers in specialty occupations. Shapiro discusses the backlash against H-1B visas, fueled by concerns over job competition and cultural assimilation. He argues that while there are valid points regarding the need for immigration reform, the conversation often devolves into simplistic arguments about American jobs. Shapiro contends that the focus should be on attracting skilled labor that can contribute to the economy while ensuring that immigrants are willing to assimilate into American culture. Shapiro draws parallels between the USM and European political landscapes, particularly in the context of mass migration and its societal impacts. He highlights Elon Musk's recent endorsement of the Alternative for Germany, AfD party, which has gained traction by opposing lax immigration policies. Shapiro notes that the AfD has been labeled a far-right party, yet its rise reflects a broader discontent with the status quo among voters who feel their concerns about immigration and integration are being ignored. As the podcast progresses, Shapiro critiques President Joe Biden's administration, particularly his recent decisions to award the Presidential Medal of Freedom to controversial figures like Hillary Clinton and George Soros. He expresses disdain for Biden's approach to clemency, noting that many convicted murderers received commutations while high-profile terrorists did not. Shapiro argues that Biden's actions reflect a broader trend of prioritizing political allies over justice and accountability. In closing, Shapiro reflects on the challenges facing the new Congress and the Biden administration as they navigate a politically charged environment. He emphasizes the importance of addressing radicalism, immigration, and economic policies in a way that prioritizes American values and interests.